Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to your Monday edition of the Trader Merlin Show. As you can see, a little bit gloomy. Got the picture of the old 49ers fan over there just looking in disbelief and sad in the distance. That's probably me in the background, just kind of just going, what on earth? Yeah, I guess if you're a sports fan, you got to look at that game and go, that was a pretty damn good Super Bowl. I mean, it was close. Never was a blowout. It was neck and neck. Mistakes on both sides, but ultimately it came down, in my opinion, to two mistakes the 49ers made in that game and ultimately cost them that game. So obviously a little bit disappointing. Although, I'm one of those fans that I'm a diehard 49ers fan, but it's like not impacting my life. My life continues on. And I'll talk more about kind of in the description to today's show. I talked about losing professionally and kind of what that means and how it equates, at least in my opinion, to I got to make sure I got the right dates on here. How it equates to what the 49ers did yesterday. All in all, it was a great season. Congratulations to the Chiefs fans. I'm sick and tired of just having to be forced fed Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. It's like, just let's get over with it. Annoying as all hell. I'm nothing against Taylor Swift. Good for her, but like media, leave it alone, right? Just let her do her thing. All right. So, what are those two mistakes, you ask? Well, Moody missed an extra point, which you never do in the NFL, and we wouldn't have gone to overtime if that happened. And then also receiving the kick in overtime. If anybody here understands football, the overtime rules, you would never receive the overtime kick. You would always kick off and take it second, because you get the ball no matter what, and you can know what you have to do. You can go for it on fourth down. It might have been the biggest coaching mistake I think I've ever seen in a professional sports game. Huge mistake there. Anyway. All in all, good game. Some pretty funny commercials, right, Ricardo? There were a couple really good ones. I like the couch potato one. That was probably my favorites. When you saw when you saw Travis Kelce push the coach. Yeah, he's just hot-headed and full of emotion. I mean, you guys, anybody here who's played professional sports, you know that when you get out on that field, your emotions, you're amping yourself up. You are getting fired up. You're just turning into a monster rage, and I'm not going to fault Travis Kelce. He was fired up. I don't know. He should never push his coach, but it is what it is. I appreciate how little Taylor Swift was used by CBS Chiefs. I don't know, man. Oh, I think she was used quite a bit. There was one time you saw her pregame, and I think during the game there was 8 or 9 different times they panned to Taylor Swift. So even Jay-Z and Beyonce didn't get that kind of attention. All right, let me go into today. So today was just kind of a dull day for me. I made no trades. I did look, of course, at the markets and was happy to see at least something was winning for me today. Bitcoin was the monster gainer for the day. So let me start off with that. We'll go in through our top markets. It'll probably be a shorter show today just because I didn't make any trades today. So there you go. Tom says, bigger mistake was Detroit going for it on fourth down twice when they had, yep. Exactly, and you know that the Niners have a pretty good defense. So, yeah, coaching mistakes, but I think that the more egregious error was not kicking the ball in overtime, because you're guaranteed to get it. You can go for it on fourth downs if you need to, and you know what you can do to win the game. And giving the ball back to Patrick Mahomes with 2 minutes left in the game, that's bad. It's like giving the ball to Tom Brady. The guy is probably the greatest of our generation. I don't know, Mike, what the over-under is. Yes, I owe you a beer. Mike. Let me start at the bottom, work my way back up. Of course, now that I got stopped out of my short position on the NQ, it'll probably have a huge reversal and come screaming back down. But NASDAQ was down 0.64% today. All in all, I don't think that's anything to write home about. I am still in the camp of bullish uptrend, probably going to keep on moving to the upside for the NASDAQ. We'll look at NVIDIA here in a little bit, which had a nice acquisition announcement today, and someone sent me a question on that, so I will dive into that. Next, we've got gold. Continuing on with its Tom bar consolidation sideways pattern here. Again, I don't expect it to go anywhere until it does. If it keeps reversing sideways here, you might have a pretty good setup on something like GLD. Right? You've got that same basic sideways pattern on gold going on for the past 2.5 months, so it will probably stay that way until it doesn't. So I'm a fan of this one as a just sideways trend trade for anybody who's into it. Here's your S&P. I like the S&P just because you got a shooting star today. Nothing major, but you do have a shooting star today. Tiny little guy. Let's see him right there. Open and close right near the lows. I will put a line across the bottom here so you guys have a number to reference if you decide to potentially go short on the S&P futures tomorrow. That's going to be below 50.31. For you SPY traders out there, I will bring that number up as well. That's going to be a low on the SPY of 500. So if you get below 500 on SPY tomorrow, might be a good shorting opportunity. Obviously, there's plenty of gaps here on SPY as typically are, and maybe some of those will start to fill as they should over time. Don't worry, I'll get to. I see a bunch of questions coming through. I'll get to those in just. Let me get the top 7, then we'll do more talk about the game if you guys would like. Next on my list, we're moving on up from S&P dollar index. Nothing really. We've had 4 days of the kind of the same basic sideways choppy action. Remember, look at the pattern that started. I am a huge fan of patterns, and any Elliott Wave fan, you are fans of patterns. You have this impulse move that started December 28th. It shot up for about 4 days, and then went sideways for about 10 days. Then all of a sudden shot up for 3 more days, sideways for 10 days, shot up for 2 days, and now starting sideways yet again, right at overhead supply. So it would not surprise me to see dollar go sideways a little bit more, and then in probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 days, start to break to the upside above that 104.50 mark, and then I think we'll ultimately challenge that 105.80, which should put some downward pressure on the equity market. So this is, to me, is a very important one to keep your eye on going forward. Now, it wasn't just about the dollar index today. You saw the 10-year bond yield creep up ever so slightly, but it's just going to smack its head across these highs that we established back on January 19th. We're pretty much there right now. We do have a little area of supply directly above that, and after that, we'll redraw those supply zones once we break through it. But right now, sitting right at the high end of its range for the past couple of months. So not too bad for your 10-year. And podium time. Crude oil. Coming off the heels of a fantastic week last week from just pure performance numbers. Crude oil today up 0.14%. Not really much here. That pattern is actually called a hanging man for those who are into candlesticks patterns as I am. If you read Steve Nissen's book, now I know I've mentioned this before, Steve Nissen is considered the godfather of candlesticks in the United States. He went to Japan and studied it and then came back with all these books about Japanese candlesticks, which is basically stolen from the guy Manihisa Hama, who was a 16th century rice trader. And when you look at his book, he actually talks about the hanging man as being a reversal pattern and more potential downside probability. And I don't know if I believe that. I really don't think I believe that is a reversal pattern. I think it's actually a continuation pattern. And if you just think of the psychology I always mention on candlesticks, what happened during this last candle on the hard red edge of my chart, right? Today's CL candle, what does it look like? Well, we opened right here where my cursor is. At one point, this was a big red candle. Okay, you're thinking it's bearish, it's down for the day, but it didn't finish there. And for whatever reason, buyers pushed it all the way back and it closed almost at the dead high of the day. That's actually really bullish. So even though there was a momentary weakness today in crude oil, the fact that it closed right into those highs makes me bullish on it, and I have a feeling you'll probably see that thing move to the upside and challenge your $79 maybe by the end of this week. So all in all, looking good for crude oil, slowly building back up, but we got to break those highs from January 29th before you really get excited on that one. Sellers were trapped. Could be. Here's your Russell 2000, which is continuing its hot streak as well. 3 giant green candles. If you are using black and white charts, these are 3 white soldier pattern here for candlestick. My guess is you're probably going to see this Russell come back and challenge these highs, which the zone for that starts right around 2080. Yeah, it's going to be right around 2080. But remember, when you zoom out here, it's not anywhere near all-time highs, right? Your all-time high is sitting up right around 2460. So we've got over 100 points to go till we get to that level. 100 points. Over 400 points till we get there, which would be about almost a 20% move from current levels. So not as optimistic on the Russell as I am for the NASDAQ and S&P, which have been just breaking highs and making new ones. But the Russell definitely looking better in those last 3 days, looking great. It was up 1.78% today for the Russell, closing at 2055. And finally, the Big Daddy. Look at this chart here. I talked on Friday's show, I think it was Friday's show, on how you started to see momentum building. And you can see it here on the Bitcoin chart. The candle was green, got bigger the next day, bigger the next day, bigger the next day, bigger the next day if you count the gap. My big question for this is, what's going to happen tomorrow? When you have a parabolic move like this, typically there's a pullback, but it just begs the question, is that done yet, right? Are we going to see an even bigger candle tomorrow and see Bitcoin, get above $53,000, $54,000? It could do it. I mean, it's up $2,700 today. as of right now per Bitcoin. So all my Bitcoin holders out there, congrats. At least something was winning in my my portfolio. Actually, silver was doing okay for me today as well. So that's your top 8 out there. And again, why is this happening? It goes back to what I've been saying for months now, which is it's about adoption. And the spot Bitcoin ETF was the real door opener to the retail investing population, meaning your 401ks, your IRAs can now hold it. You can now see it added into other portfolios, so it has this air of legitimacy to it. And that means more people buying it. When you have limited supply and demand increasing sharply, this is what a price chart looks like. So I'm disappointed in my forecast because I thought we would drift up. I thought we'd slowly go up until the halving, sharper after the halving, and then parabolic from this November to next November. But hey, I'm happy to be wrong, especially since this is my largest holding in my crypto portfolio is Bitcoin, so fine. If we look at the longer term chart here, you're running, well, what's next for Bitcoin? Well, there's your daily, and I'm going to shrink this down into a weekly time frame just so we get a clearer picture of it. I'll go from a daily to a weekly. There is your weekly, and this is why I like looking at things from multiple time frames. If you see right here, Merlin, come on, zoom all over the place. You see right here, we've had that huge 2-week rally. Well, actually, call it 1 month rally, really, because we were down at lows on Bitcoin of 38,500, and now we're hitting 50,000. So we're up $12,000 per Bitcoin, roughly 30% move in the last month. So not too shabby on that one. If you look at where we're headed, though, I'll take this little horizontal line here, and I'll move it up to kind of where that overhead supply zone is. It's going to be right around 51,200. And today we hit an intraday high of 50,000, call it 700. So all in all, it looks great, but there is an area of supply creeping up. But notice after that, once you get above that level, the question is, are we going to be starting flirting with these all-time highs around 69,000, which we achieved back in November of 2021? Right, we're at 69,355 on the futures, and it does feel like there's a lot more optimism, money, and consistency pouring in. Look at from September of last year, of 2022 through today. We've seen just this very clean, consistent uptrend in Bitcoin, and all in all, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Here is your growth for Bitcoin in the last 66 weeks, right? So 2 years, call it roughly, a little bit less. 239% move up for Bitcoin. Now, while some of you might be holding Bitcoin, I know we've got a couple of whole coiners. How many of you are whole coiners? How many of you are whole coiners, meaning you actually own a full Bitcoin? I remember there were a couple here that were getting close. Maybe Margaret, I think you were talking about you were almost there, or you are. I know some people here are whole coiners. Great news for you. That means that your holding of Bitcoin, one whole Bitcoin, is going to start to become more valuable and more valuable because there's fewer whole coiners out there. You will be an elite part of a population going forward if you are a whole coiner. That said, when we look at that weekly time frame here, all-time highs obviously become very interesting and kind of coming into play with that one. Well, the guy who probably made the smartest decision here is MicroStrategy. So we looked at Bitcoin from those lows was up, 239%. We'll take a look at what's happened with MicroStrategy in that same window of time, 441%. So I've mentioned many times that, MicroStrategy may actually be a proxy for Bitcoin because they're one of the largest single holding companies of Bitcoin. All in all, Michael Saylor is absolutely loving it. All right, Janet, John, G3, and Lori, congrats for the whole coiners out there. Good for you guys. It's hard to overstate how rare that will be in a few years. It may not seem like much now because there's not a lot of international utilization. But if Jack Mahler, who is the CEO of Strike, continues to do what he does, which is pushing Strike Technologies as a point of sale purchasing thing, and there's a couple other products out there that will do this, Bitcoin will become the backbone for most of it. It's going to be really, really, really good going forward. So congrats to you whole coiners. Don't sell it. Pepe, I'd rather not disclose how many. I'm a multi-coiner, but I don't want to say. It puts a target on my back if I have to tell how much I have. I've got plenty. Although I'm shooting for 10. And here's why. So I don't have 10 yet. 10 would be my goal. If you look here, one second. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. It doesn't really do too well for me. Great website. I know I brought this up many times, but if you look out here, this shows you the number of Bitcoin at specific addresses. So if you have a whole coin, one full Bitcoin, you are 1.95% of the population, right? You are this very, very small percentage. Now, if you have 10 or more, you are 0.3%. My goal is to get to that 0.3%. I want to be better than a 1%er. So yeah, you one coiners, you're in this basket right here. You're in the top 8.74%, which is crazy to think that there's that few in those wallets. Anyway, you look out here. I actually think that this is wrong because it says here. Oh yeah, okay, no, it's not wrong. Satoshi Nakamoto has over 1 million, I believe, in one wallet address that has not moved. But that's because he was early on. It's fun to look at this. You look at this guy right here. This is a $12 billion wallet right here. It's just $12 billion just sitting there. If you guys are good hackers, go for it. I challenge you. Try to get that one. Try to get in there and take that $1 billion, $12 billion. And then you have 10 billion, 6 billion, 5, 4. There's quite a bit here. Quite a bit of Bitcoin. Anyway. That's all I'm going to say about that. But MicroStrategy, watch this market cap. I mean, if Bitcoin continues to run, this thing could easily find itself at $1,000 or even more than that. I kind of wish I would have bought leaps on this in a while back. Bitcoin's up 5.6% today, and MicroStrategy up 11.02%. So, like the Hunt brothers cornered silver many, many, many moons ago. Maybe Michael Saylor be the guy who corners the Bitcoin market. I'm still stuck on when and where and how to buy Bitcoin. E. Thompson, so where to buy it? It's easy. You go to somebody that has what's called ACH. ACH stands for Automated Clearinghouse. That means that you can connect your checking account directly to their exchange. In the US, that is Coinbase, Gemini, and Kraken. Right now, if you use Coinbase's advanced platform, it's probably the cheapest. But you would buy it on Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini. Once you buy it, you would move it to a hardware wallet, something like this that you would buy. This is considered cold storage. This is what's called a nano ledger. And you would keep that there, keep it very safe. Don't let anyone ever know your code. And then just sit on it, right? Sit on it for a long time. At some point, there will be Bitcoin used as a transactional medium. But for right now, I'm not spending any of my Bitcoin on anything. I will hold that until 2025 when I think it's going to sell off. Yeah, right. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, Lisa. I wish I bought leaps on that one too. We talked about it. Like, yeah, it'll probably do really well, and lo and behold, it did. Do we finally know who is this Satoshi Nakamoto guy? No, we don't know who that is. So for those of you who may not know, the originator of Bitcoin, the guy who wrote the white paper, his name is Satoshi Nakamoto. And we don't know who he is, who she is, who it is, which group of people it is, or if it's a government agency. And I was watching this thing, Satoshi Nakamoto translates loosely to, Satoshi Nakamoto translates to Intelligence Central, which means Central Intelligence. And there's a belief that the CIA is actually who created Bitcoin as a test to see. And, in a conspiracy theory world, what an interesting proposition. CIA creates a digital currency, which is a window and an opening to see, hey, can we control people's money supply? Can we have instant access to what everybody is doing? And it almost does feel like that is a very plausible reality, that the CIA created Bitcoin as a test to see if this new technology, this new financial system would actually work. And it's kind of been running, and now all of a sudden we're building central bank digital currencies where the governments will have total access over your money. I don't know. I don't know if I'm 100% believing that, but if I was on Mythbusters right now, I would say that's definitely a plausible idea that the CIA or some entity in the government created this to see, hey, let's get everyone hooked on digital money and we'll control the whole damn thing. Would be interesting. He or she is not Jamie Dimon. No, definitely not Jamie Dimon. Maybe that multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin wallet that the guy has in the UK accidentally threw away. Started. Nah. No, that guy was just a IT guy. So there's a couple different people who the industry believes are Satoshi Nakamoto. The one who I actually think it's most likely to be is Dan Held. A lot of the forensic research on when these emails were sent, the syntax and the way that this individual wrote his email messages, It sounded a lot similar to what Dan held, how he writes and the things he said. Of course, he has denied it. The thing is, it's a big question. If you were Satoshi Nakamoto, would you want the world to know? Like, I would probably never disclose who I was, and I'd make it very clear, that nobody would know who I was. Even if I was Satoshi Nakamoto, I wouldn't tell you guys, obviously. I think that adds to the mystique of the whole project. This mystery of, who created this thing. I love it. Conspiracy theories or conspiracy observation, right? I don't know, Tom. It could definitely be a reality. All right, let me go to a couple questions here from my depression picture for show 860 today. Yeah, I love this guy in the background over here. It's great. This is AI, by the way. So yeah, one of the questions came through was, what AI app do you use to create your images? Dr. Wong, I am using Midjourney. Now, there's several of them out there. I've actually noticed that if you go to Bard, so you go to Bard and, Bard is Google or Microsoft? I think it's, I forget which one's which. But if you go to Bard and use that and say, create me an image of, it'll actually do fairly decent ones, but it only does 4 at a time. It takes a little longer, and you can't customize it like I can with Midjourney. Midjourney is pretty awesome. Yeah, Lori, I wish it was me. If it was me, that means that I would have as of today, $50 billion. I would have $50 billion because there's 1 million Bitcoin sitting in his wallet. Apparently, it hasn't moved. Hasn't moved for years. Bard is Google. Thanks, Tom. I played with Bard the other day. Nice. But if you are somebody like myself, like I'm creating graphics for this show every single day. And for the viewers out here who've been following me for years, you've seen the transition. I started off doing all these layers in PowerPoint to create my graphics every day, which is very time consuming. And plus, a lot of those graphics I may have used may have been taken from Google without permission from authorities. And that could create some problems. So I haven't tried Stable Diffusion. My buddy swears by Stable Diffusion. He loves it. But Midjourney costs me $8 a month. And all these graphics like this are created with it. It's just fun. I really enjoy it. And, for me personally, I have a big screen TV in my living room, and on the left and right hand side, I found these digital picture frames on Amazon. And normally picture frames are like 8.5 by 11. They're tiny little things. These were 16 by 20. They're big frames. So I bought one. It was like a $300 frame. And then what happened with the pictures is Midjourney allows me to put them in any size and ratio I want. So I bought one. It was $300. Amazon had it like 80% off. So it cost me like, I don't know, it was like $100. It wasn't 80% off, but it was a significant discount. I got it. I upload all these pictures to it. And now I have on each side of my TV constantly changing. I make thousands and thousands of pictures for just random stuff in different styles and formats. And I have my own kind of little art gallery that's always playing in my house. I love it. Can you make intro music with AI? You can. There are different ones that you can make music with, but not with Midjourney. Midjourney is just visual. But yes, there are definitely AI programs out there that you can play with it. And maybe I'll work on that. Although I need to do a whole, TraderMerlin rebranding, but there you go. What's your opinion of the MAGA coin? Trash. What purpose does it serve, Johnny? Good to see you, Johnny, on the spot. Been a while. Where I hang my hat on with crypto is what's its purpose, what's its use case, and what is it good for, right? And once you figure those things out, what is its use case, what is it used for, what's its purpose, what are they trying to achieve, other than a money grab because it's got the name MAGA on it, right? That's all it is. That's all it is a money grab. It's a pump and dump shitcoin. And a shitcoin is basically something that serves no purpose. There's no real community behind it. Someone created this coin trying to get others to buy it because it's got MAGA on it and show your pride for President Trump and let's buy the MAGA coin. For the most part, it's a shitcoin. It's like Pepe, it's like Dogecoin, it's like Shiba Inu. There's no community, there's no developers, it's garbage, trash. If you buy some, it's a total gamble and you might make money. But 10 years down the road, will that thing be worth anything? Goose egg. Goose egg. Worth nothing. All right, what other questions I had? This is a good one. So it says, let's take, you know it, Pepe. That's right. Your coin, buddy. Solana looks good, but remember, Margaret, when you look at that, Solana has use case. Solana has developers. Solana has a huge community. It has a purpose. It's trying to achieve these things, It's not hey, look at, we have, Elon Musk coin. Well, if it doesn't do anything, they're just using his name to get people to buy it. That's typically what happens with these altcoins, if you will, or shit coins. So the question from Marcel, or Mark, I think it's Marcel. Can you take a look at BMR today? Yeah, I saw this one come up because I have friends who are in big time into NVIDIA. So apparently BMR, they did a, I don't know if they actually outright bought them, but there was, let's see if the news says an outright buy. So they're collaborating with NVIDIA. So this is an imaging company, and they're doing something with NVIDIA. I don't know what it is, but honestly, right now, if you put your name and you say anything that you're tied to NVIDIA, you're going to the moon. And you'll look at this today. This was up over 1,000% today, right? And if you go here and go to the peak today, 1,500% gain in a day. Crazy, big gain. Now, my guess is this news was kind of broken a little while ago. You can't see it very clearly here at the bottom. But if you look every day before this, every day before last Wednesday, so you go Tuesday on, every day, this thing was under 100,000 shares. So most of the time, it's under 50,000 shares, right? Just no volume whatsoever. Then all of a sudden, last Tuesday, 3.4 million. You go to Thursday, 385,000. You had 285,000 on Friday, and then today you have you had 150 million today. There's a huge problem with this one. So while I like it, exactly, Tim Sykes strategy pumping up. Yep, that's exactly right. And by the way, let's not pick on Timothy Sykes. I mean, Timothy Sykes has been around a long time. He knows how to game the system. And Timothy's approach is, I get enough people follow my newsletter, that's kind of funny, that little Freudian slip on that one. But you get enough people to sign up for your newsletter, and you're always pumping stocks, right? You pick levels. It's kind of like my scammer friend in Chicago does. You just pick levels and you tell everybody, hey, here's a level, and then they automatically go buy that, because I'll be honest, most people don't want to do the heavy lifting and do the work to do the research and make their own trade. So just tell me what to buy, Tim. Tell me what to buy. Tokyo Joe was another one years back. So what they'll do is they will find some penny stock, tell you to buy it at a certain date if it gets to this price, but they've already bought into it by the time they sent that newsletter to you. It's called front running. It's illegal. It's pump and dump, and they'll do it until they get caught. Now, unfortunately for most people, like I say, with like Timothy Sykes, they will issue that thing, they'll buy it when he says to buy it, and they get caught holding it. This one's a bit different, right? This is just a big news play that they're working together and using BMR's imaging technology for their project. So Sam has a magic eraser, right? If it blows through and had a huge loss, he just, I don't know what happened to that line. It was never there. I didn't use it. That's funny. So let's look at BMR and think, what should you do here? Well, if you ever see a chart that looks like this, and by the way, yesterday on Friday's close, this thing closed at $2.11. Today hit an intraday high of $34.94. If you ever buy this and chase it, I wish I could just come to your house, open your door, and just slap you in the face. And I'll just turn right back around and leave. But just want to give you a quick slap in the face, because you should never buy anything like this. This is straight news driven. However, there's a fundamental thing that I always look for with these high-flying, biggest gainer stocks. I mean, 1,000% in a day, 1,500% in a day. What would you guys first turn to as a measure of risk to you? So this is, you guys are all students here, and everyone's a student of the game, including myself. When you see something like this, what are some of the things that you want to pay attention to? So type in a chat. I want to get you guys going. I was planning on doing a very short show today, and apparently that didn't work. But what sort of things would you look at right away just to see, is this legit? Should I get involved? What's the risk to me? What things could you look for right away? There's something that I look for immediately, and I'll show you that here in just a second. What about the other guy, Oliver something? He is everywhere on YouTube pretending to be the shit. Yeah. So Oliver, by the way, just so you know, if you Google Oliver, his name is Oliver Velez. For many, many years, he was being sued by so many different people. And then he would file a counter lawsuit against him. So if you say anything bad about the guy, he would sue you. I'll probably get some cease and desist for talking bad about him now. So he doesn't have the greatest reputation in the industry, right? He wasn't really, I don't know. There was a certain subset of the people that felt he walked on water. And when I first met him, he was one of the most proficient eloquent. His delivery, his presentations were hypnotic. And it's honestly, it's one of those things, as someone who's presented for decades now, I look back and go, that guy might have been one of the best presenters and public speakers I've ever seen. The way he delivered just drew you in, and you're at the end, you're throwing your hands up going, hallelujah, I'll buy whatever you're selling. And oh man, I watched workshops with 1,000 people in there, and people were just literally like, oh, sign me up. I want it. Yes. I'm like, oh man, you're buying snake oil. Do your research before you buy anything in any workshop or seminar, guys. Never bring your credit card to any workshop, any seminar, any sales event. Leave everything at home. Make your decision later. They'll still give you the big, if you buy today, discount. Anyway, Oliver had a company called Pristine with a guy named Greg Capra. And those two fought. They had another guy. I cannot remember his name. He was part of the organization. Anyway, a lot of lawsuits between those guys. I don't even know if Pristine's still around. Oliver went and did his own thing, which was Master Trader, where it was bad news. You can probably find all the lawsuit information online. Then, guess who worked for Oliver Velez? Guess who worked for Oliver? This guy who has horrible reputation, was perceived as being very slimy in the industry, who now still is back doing his thing. But guess who worked for Oliver Velez? I'll give you a second. Who could it be? That's right, Sam Seiden. Just saying. Sam worked for Pristine for a long time with Oliver Velez. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, my friends. All right. So what did we miss? Not much. All right, so let me see what you said here. Open interest is the first thing I would look for as an options trader. Okay. So let me add one little wrinkle to that one, Lisa. That's good. But also, I don't trade IPOs, so maybe, I don't think this is an IPO. Oh, yeah. It's an IPO, but it IPO'd back in February of 2023. So this thing at least has 1 year. This is definitely space. You don't want to trade an IPO for like the first 30 days. That's dangerous. 90 days, you have no history to go off of. So this one, while it is an IPO that started in 2023, we have a year of data. I would say this is probably okay. You're getting better. Although it was a penny stock, so I wouldn't touch it. So for me, the first thing I will look at is I want to know what's going on with the shares. I want to know where things are headed and who owns what. It's the same thing I would do when I look at a cryptocurrency project, right? If I'm looking at any crypto project, if I'm looking at Johnny on the Spot's question about MAGA coin, I'm going to look at the token distribution. Who owns what, right? My guess is one individual probably owns like 70 or 80% of them all. The guy who created it and is now pumping it up. So let's go look at the numbers behind the scenes here. So I'm going to go to YouTube. I'll go to Yahoo, and I typed in BMR, which is Beamer Imaging Limited. You can see trading at a hefty valuation here today. It's actually up even more in after hours. I'm going to scroll down under the statistics tab, and I want to look at two numbers. Number one is the first one I'm going to show you here, which is, one second. You see here it says at the bottom of my screen, shares outstanding. Let's see if I can bump this up for you guys a little bit more. I know it's hard to see sometimes. I don't want to go too far. Come on, cash flow statement, trading information, stock history. Oh, there you go. So you guys see right at the bottom of my screen right here, it says 13.05 million shares. Now keep in mind, 13 million shares is very little, right? It's extremely low of shares outstanding. Guys, remember what shares outstanding is? That is all of the shares of this company that exist in the world. All of them, right? Nothing hidden. It's everything that's been ever created with regards to that security. Okay, great. That's all that's out there. And by the way, 13 million is a drop in the bucket. That's nothing. All right, but we're not done, because the other number that's important here is float. Now, normally when you look at a company, it'll say, 13 million shares outstanding. It'll say like 12.5 million is the float. The way it works is you have shares outstanding as everything, and then you have what's called closely held shares or closely held shares. Those are things that are held by insiders, employees, locked up in stock options that aren't going to be part of the public float. They're not part of public circulation. You can't buy those. So those are immediately removed from supply. So typically, there's a small percentage that are closely held. Look at this company here. When I saw this, it's immediate red flag. I'll scroll down here. So 13.05 million is the total number of shares, and the float, 3.44 million. So that is a huge amount of shares that are held by the insiders. And that's, that's just to me is too risky. So I'm going to do 3.44 million divided by 13.05. That's 26% of all of the shares available of this BMR stock are on the open market. Red flag, run to the hills, move away. I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Leave it alone. Because what it means is at any moment, any of those insiders with the right filing, and they may have already filed, can unload this whenever they want. And if I'm an insider and I know that this deal's coming up, or I've been in talks for weeks with NVIDIA about them using our software, certainly some reps from NVIDIA have been out there working with them, using it. Hey, can we do this with this software? Can we do that? This has been known. So if I'm a CEO or an executive, I'm already going to be filing to sell shares. Now, I have not looked at this. Let's check here real quick because I got to see the filings of it. BMR. Oops, not BMR. We want to go to FinViz. I'm going to go to FinViz. I'm just going to go and type in BMR and just see what it's looked like here. All right, so let's go down to the bottom, then get an inside information. Oh, there's no insider information on this bad boy. Maybe because it's too new. Usually you get you can see the shareholder stuff on this one, but there was nothing going on, at least with that one. I could probably find it somewhere else. So this to me is a huge red flag that a majority of the shares are not available to the public. So what happens, you issue a press release like this, you have the public trying to buy because they think every company has a lot of shares. You're buying this small pool of almost nothing. 3 million is nothing. To put it into perspective, let's pick another company. Let's not make Apple. Let's look at NVIDIA, right? Because NVIDIA is a major, let's go NVDA, right? Big company, high share price, all-time high yet again. So let me go here. There's NVIDIA, up another 0.16% today. We're going to scroll down here. Sorry for the quick scrolling, but I want to get into shares outstanding. 2.47 billion shares. 2.47 with the B, billion, and notice 2.37 billion float. This means that everything is out there except for 100 million shares. Great, right? That I don't have to worry about one insider unloading their position. It's all out there. Give me some other symbols if you want so I can bring home the point. Let's look at Microsoft. Given all the splits that Microsoft has had over the years, this one's going to be kind of painful for you guys to look at because it's a lot. I got a lot of shares out there. So it's 2 point something with, yeah, here you go. So Microsoft, 7.43 billion shares outstanding, 7.42 billion shares float. That's what you want to see. You want to see those numbers pretty much the same, very, very close to each other. Unfortunately, with that BMR, not even remotely close. And you'll probably see that with a lot of these companies that have big gap ups like the huge ones. Remember, we had this a couple months back. There was a Vietnamese car company. Was it VTS? I think it was VTS. I don't remember. No, it wasn't Vitesse Energy. But there was some Vietnamese car company I was talking about. And I was like, oh, this is so great. Had the same situation. Very little float, huge outstanding shares, big red flag. All right, sorry. If you guys have questions, let me know. I went on a random topic there. But I did not drink that much yesterday. Yeah. Tom, that's funny. That's something you'll never hear me ever say is I paid $4,000 for a Taylor Swift concert. I'm probably not going to spend $4,000 for a concert. I actually was looking at Dead & Company, so I used to like the Grateful Dead until Jerry died. The Grateful Dead are greedy as can be. So Fish was doing 4 nights at the Sphere for, was it VFN? Thank you. Fish is doing 4 nights at the Sphere, and it's $750 for a 4-night pass. So 4 shows for $750. The Grateful Dead want $700 a night. Greed, my friends, greed. VFN, whatever happened to that thing? No, it wasn't VFN. I'll type in VN. VinFast. It does sound very familiar. VFS, there you go. Oh, yeah, well, that's what happens. Right? Remember, we had this huge surge up. Remember, everyone was talking about it. I was like, this is crazy. This is the next thing. Oh, it's going to take over the world, the next electric company. And I was saying, stay away from it. It's probably going to come crashing down. Didn't expect it to crash that much. Now, remember, this is a SPAC, which starts at $10. You can see it happen right here back in, what month was that? Oh, my cursor. Right around September of 2021 is when they issued. They started out at $10, rallied all the way up to $95. Now they're at $5.34. So Careful with SPACs and careful with anything that you're getting off a hot watch list. I know a lot of people will look at these, biggest gainers, biggest decliners watch lists and trade off that. Be careful. Make sure you check first before you jump in any of them because they can be very, very dangerous. Okay, what do we got? As far as economic announcements for this week, it's always something important, Johnny. It's always about learning. It's always about learning. The more, the thing, especially with crypto, which what you asked about, Johnny, is there are more cryptocurrencies than there are stocks on all the exchanges combined in the entire world, right? They're being created every minute. And the vast majority of cryptocurrencies are pump and dump scams. Can you make money on them? Absolutely. But if you're like me and you're thinking, what's the future hold and what is this technology going to do in the future, then you got to look past that garbage like MAGA coin or Pepe coin, who I talked about earlier. Those things are just jokes. They're meme stocks, meme tokens. They're trash. Truth App SPAC, pump big. Yep, that's you mean DWAC. But yeah, you gotta research them and understand what you're looking at. I haven't looked at DWAC in a while. This is again one that I would not buy. Well, popped back up pretty big here ever since Trump back in it. Everyone wants his digital world acquisition SPAC. We hit some highs way back here in 2021. That was pretty crazy to see this thing, vaulting as much as it did. You had highs of 121? Yeah, 121 somewhere there. Actually, no, it looked like it hit about 170. And here we are at 45. Still wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. All right, so economic calendar, and let's go to your earnings. So today, there wasn't anything on the economic calendar that's noteworthy. Tomorrow, there is. So they didn't give the forecast for CPI as of Friday, which they typically do. What I want you to take note of, if you watch Monday Morning Must Knows, I mentioned that on Friday, the 9th, past Friday, they redid the weightings of CPI. So this metric that we've been following, looking at inflationary data as a metric in the United States, like how's inflation look? How's the Fed going to position themselves? They just changed the components. And I don't know about you. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist person. However, I am of the belief that a current administration would put pressure on the Bureau of Labor Statistics and whoever puts these things together to modify the data to benefit my administration, to make it look better. And at this point, if you're the Biden administration, you need inflation to come down. You must have it come down. You need to have the people go, oh, man, it got out of hand. And of course, this administration can then point at the previous administration and say, it was Trump's fault that this all happened, but we tamed it and we fixed it. So vote for us again, right? And I'm not supporting Trump or Biden, guys. I'm just saying this is the political game that's going to be played. If the Biden administration can get that under control, then that makes their chance of getting elected much better because that's their big, campaign piece. We got inflation down. American people, we're here to help you out, right? That type of talk track. Well, notice what happened. The expectations are that CPI is, lo and behold, going to drop. And it's going to go from 0.3 to 0.2. Now, I don't know really what has been changed in there, but my guess is it's been modified slightly to benefit the reading to make it look like less inflation. I will tell you this, I am not seeing prices fall for a lot of the stuff where I shop. I shop at San Sam. So that's your big news for tomorrow is going to be what happens to that CPI number. 5:30 in the morning Pacific time, so 1 hour before the equity markets open. If you're trading the British pound, tomorrow night you have a lot of inflationary data as well. I call it the Magnum PI day for the Brits, which is CPI, PPI, RPI, and HPI data all coming out in one swoop. That's nice. And then on the earnings front, I don't remember off the top of my head, but let me just bring it up here real quick. We start to get a light dusting of earnings. There might be one or two big names, but for the most part, there's nothing that's colossal happening this week. Well, we got Coca-Cola, Shopify, Biogen, Akamai Technologies, Welltower, and let me see if there's any big market caps in there. Yeah, Airbnb as well. So that's your big earnings for tomorrow, and most of that is happening before the market opens, so that should set the stage for tomorrow's session. All right, what do I see here? Let me go back because I saw some comments I maybe didn't get to. Okay, I got the thing with the IPOs. Okay, fish is kind of expensive. Well, it's not really. I mean, yes, anything at the Sphere is expensive, and certainly the aftermarket tickets are. Typically, their tickets are relatively cheap, but if you go to a normal concert, so for example, I'm going to a concert on Wednesday up in LA at the Coliseum at the Cyber Crypto Arena. That show, I'm going to time it. my guess is it's going to be a 2-hour show, max 2 hours. Fish will play for 4 hours. So you do get a bang for your buck there as well. Move the goalpost or political... I know, Big Eb, right? Move the goalpost? No. Unheard, inconceivable. And I always, I liked it in my years, especially with John O'Donnell. John O'Donnell will just reach out to anybody and say, hey, come on the show. Hey, come on the show. Hey, come on the show. And he brought on some really good people. And there was a guy from the Bureau of Labor Statistics who puts together, I think it was CPI number. I'm pretty sure it's and I told you the story, but I asked him, I said, do you guys, ever tweak the components of this thing to fit a political agenda? And he goes, yep, we do. Without hesitation. I was like, wow, I did not expect you to be that forthcoming and honest about it. And, at that point, I lost my faith in trusting all of the data. You got to know it's part of the big game being played. And it doesn't make it harder or easier to trade. I think it's indifferent, right? Markets are just going to move how they are. You just got to know that the number tomorrow is going to be calculated differently than the month we saw, or the numbers we saw last month. And my guess is they're going to come out a little bit rosier than expected. So tomorrow could be, if it does what I think it's going to do, it could actually have a pretty nice bullish day. Now, it's funny because the S&P has a shooting star on it, which I'm looking for a short opportunity, but I'm condescending myself by saying, or contradicting myself by saying, could see a big market rally at that CPI number. But we'll know right from the get-go. All right, if that number comes out at 0.2 or 0.1, you should see a nice big surge in the market, which means the Fed will backpedal a little bit here. All right, that's going to do it for me. What did I do? 47 minutes. Not too bad. I'm trying to keep these dang shows short. Not working, though. That's it for today. Tomorrow, I will make a show on whatever you guys want. I really haven't had a chance. Hopefully, I get more trading done tomorrow. I've got a crypto class in the morning, so I will have a little chance to be more involved with crypto, but hopefully I get some trades off here because I've been kind of lagging lately in the abundance of trades I've been making. So if there's something you guys want me to talk about, let me know. You guys always want to hear about different stuff. So what is the most traded meme stock? I don't know. My guess is it's probably still going to be GameStop. It's still going to be, AMC. AMC is just on its way out. Let's go look at AMC here real quick. Oh man, look at this AMC chart. That is just absolute death. It may not look like much, but it's still trading, 15 million shares. But GameStop is still, believe it or not, a very popular one, even though I believe it's going to slowly drift down to zero. Short it if you got it. This is all after their reverse split, by the way. So there was a reverse split done right here, which they did, at 4-1? Yeah. So yeah, this thing is just going to keep drifting lower and lower, and pretty soon it'll be under $5, and they'll have to reverse split it again, and it'll just slowly disappear into oblivion. So be careful with GameStop. But yeah, I don't know. I don't trade meme stock from Margaret. I try to stay away from them. They're fun to watch, but I don't trade them. Okay, that's going to do it for me, everybody. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. Congratulations to the Chiefs. Good luck to another season for the 49ers. I was going to talk more about being a professional, dealing with losses as a professional, which I just don't have time to do tomorrow or today. Maybe I'll do that on tomorrow's show. So if you guys have something different you want me to talk about, email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com or comment down below any of the YouTube videos. Take care, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow.